Story 1, The Glow-Eyed Woman of I-40. Ethan Mercer had been on the road long enough to know the unwritten rules of truckers. Don't stop at shuttered rest areas, don't pick up hitchhikers after midnight, and for the love of God, don't ever pull over near mile marker 178 on I-40 in New Mexico. He didn't believe in ghost stories or campfire folklore, but he believed in patterns. In 4 years of long-haul driving, he'd passed that exit hundreds of times, and not once had he seen a single vehicle parked there. No trucks. No RVs. No state troopers. Just a hollow stretch of concrete surrounded by desert nothingness. But that night, the dashboard lit up a warning. Fuel level critical. 14 miles remaining. Ethan muttered a curse. The nearest open station was 25 miles ahead. He'd miscalculated the distance between stops. Rookie mistake. No choice, he grumbled, easing the rig toward the ramp. The asphalt trembled under the weight of the 18-wheeler as he pulled into the abandoned rest stop. The clock read 3:02 a.m. The wind was dead still. Even the crickets were silent. He cut the engine. The sudden quiet pressed against the cabin like a physical force. His headlights cast long, stark shadows across the empty lot. A faded restroom building sat half-collapsed to one side, its roof caved in. Trash cans were overturned, their contents long scattered and sun-bleached. Ethan grabbed his phone. No signal. Not even one bar. He sighed. Just my damn luck. He was about to grab a fuel can from the side compartment when something moved inside the beam of his headlights. A figure. Standing directly in front of the truck. A woman. She wore a torn, dirt-stained white dress that fluttered in a breeze Ethan couldn't feel. Her bare feet were blackened with filth, toes curled against the concrete. Her hair, long, tangled, and matted, covered most of her face. Ethan froze. You need help, he called out, leaning out the window. She didn't answer. She didn't even shift her weight. She just stood there, facing him. Then she lifted her head. Her eyes reflected the headlights like two metallic orbs, glowing, unnatural, the color of molten gold. A feral gleam shimmered across her pupils, and for a split second Ethan's breath caught in his throat. That's not possible, he whispered. Eyes don't reflect like that. Not human ones. Her lips pulled back slowly, stretching far too wide for any normal jaw. The corners of her mouth cracked, splitting open like old paper. She smiled at him, an impossible, horrific smile that carved across her cheeks. Ethan's fight-or-flight instinct finally broke free. He slammed the door shut, turned the ignition. Nothing. The engine didn't even cough. The truck didn't respond at all. Then he heard it. A soft scraping sound. Like fingers dragging across asphalt. Shapes began rising from the ground behind her. At first he thought they were shadows, until shadows started standing upright. Dozens of them. Human silhouettes emerging from the pavement, as if their bodies were being pushed up from beneath the road. They didn't walk. They glided, silent, smooth, feet not touching the ground. Ethan felt ice crawl up his spine. Hell no. Not tonight. He tried the ignition again. Still nothing. The glowing-eyed woman tilted her head, watching him. That smile widened. Then, all at once, the truck roared to life, engine booming like a thunderclap. Ethan didn't question it. He slammed the accelerator. The rig lurched forward. The woman didn't move. She stood perfectly still as 40 tons of steel barreled straight toward her. At the last second, she vanished. Not sidestepped. Not knocked away. She simply disappeared. But Ethan heard something. A laugh. Soft, feminine, echoing inside the cabin, inside his skull, like she was sitting in the passenger seat. He didn't dare look around. He kept his eyes locked on the road, knuckles white around the wheel. For the next 300 miles, the laughter never stopped. Sometimes it was faint, barely audible over the rumble of the road. Other times it sounded inches from his ear, warm breath brushing the side of his neck. Every time he checked his mirrors, he expected to see that golden-eyed face staring back at him from the sleeper cab. The sun was rising when he finally pulled into a state trooper station, shaking so badly he could barely stand. 2 officers rushed out when they saw the condition he was in. "Sir, are you injured?" one asked. "No," Ethan whispered. "Just need to report something." "Someone." They took him inside, gave him water, let him breathe. When he finally explained what happened, he expected disbelief, maybe a chuckle. But the room went dead silent. One of the troopers exchanged a look with the other. "Show him," the older one said. A file thunked onto the desk. Thick. Heavy. Over 100 pages. The trooper opened it. "Missing person, commercial driver. Missing person, commercial driver. Missing person, commercial driver. 42 truckers," the officer said quietly. "All vanished near that rest stop in the past 8 years. No wrecked rigs. No bodies. Not a trace." Ethan felt his stomach turn. That rest stop was condemned in 1996. Shut down after 3 deaths and a structural collapse. Nobody's supposed to be able to access it anymore. "But I did," Ethan said, voice trembling. The trooper nodded grimly. "Yeah? That's the problem." He slid a photo across the table. This was taken by a dash cam from one of the missing drivers. Last image before his feed went dark. Ethan stared at the grainy still frame. There she was. The same woman. Same torn dress. Same impossible smile. Same metallic gold eyes. "Welcome to the club," the trooper murmured. "Whatever you saw, you're not the first. And you won't be the last." Ethan swallowed hard. But the worst part wasn't the photo. It wasn't the missing drivers. It wasn't even the confirmation that the woman was real. It was the final thing the trooper said. "By the way," he added quietly, "if you hear that laughing again, don't ever follow it. That's how they take the rest." Ethan didn't sleep that day. Or the day after. Because every time he closed his eyes, he still heard her laughing. Story 2, Passenger 19. The snow came down sideways that night on Interstate 90, the kind of blizzard that swallowed headlights whole and made even the most seasoned drivers grip the wheel until their knuckles turned white. Riley Dane had 38 hours left on a cross-country haul, and if she didn't hit Billings before sunrise, she'd miss her delivery window. The temperature on the dash read -31 degrees Celsius. Wind speed, 50 miles per hour. Visibility, almost zero. "This is how people die," Riley muttered to herself, leaning forward as if her body weight might help the wipers fight the storm. Somewhere between Livingston and a stretch of forested emptiness, her headlights illuminated a shadowy figure on the shoulder, just a silhouette at first, hunched against the wind. As she got closer, she saw a man waving both arms, the beam of her lights catching the sheen of wet snow sliding off a dark coat. "Shit," Riley whispered. Leaving someone out here was a death sentence. She eased onto the brakes and pulled her rig over. The man approached with unnatural calm, as if the storm didn't bother him at all. When he opened the passenger door, the cabin filled instantly with freezing air. "You heading east?" he asked. His voice was low, steady. "Yeah," Riley said cautiously. "Hop in." He climbed up with smooth, precise movements, shutting the door behind him. Snow should have melted on his coat, but his clothes were bone dry. His boots were spotless. His bare hands, no gloves, looked like he'd just come out of a heated office, not a blizzard. Riley frowned. You are okay. He smiled faintly. Better now. Name's Lucas. She nodded, pulling back onto the interstate. Riley. For the first few minutes they rode in silence, the howl of wind against metal filling the cabin. Riley glanced sideways. Something about Lucas felt wrong. Too still. Too controlled. He didn't shake from the cold. His breathing never quickened. His posture never shifted. And then came the smell. Not sweat. Not mud. But cologne. Expensive. Heavy. Out of place on a frozen highway. How long were you out there? Riley asked. Lucas tilted his head, eyes fixed on the windshield. Long enough. The way he said it made her skin crawl. 20 minutes later, without warning, Lucas reached into his coat. Riley stiffened. He pulled out a 12-inch hunting knife, the blade catching the dim glow of the dashboard. Riley's heart slammed against her ribs. What are you doing? Lucas held the knife loosely, almost casually. This is my 19th ride, he whispered. 19th's my lucky number. Riley's pulse spiked. She forced her expression to stay neutral. You're scaring me, Lucas. He smiled, revealing perfectly white teeth. Good. They never listen unless they are scared. Her mind raced. The CB radio sat inches from her right hand, but if she lunged for it, he'd know. Unless. She grabbed the microphone with a sudden flourish, clicking the transmit button with a confidence she didn't feel. All units, this is Trucker Redbird broadcasting a live encounter. Repeating, live. Male suspect, white coat, mid-30s, scar across right eye. Armed with a large blade. He's sitting right next to me. Lucas froze. Riley continued, her voice projecting to an audience that did not exist. Copy that, Unit 7. Yeah, he's got the knife out right now. Describe him. Sure. 6'2". Cold eyes. Smells like fancy cologne. Real fancy. Lucas's hand tightened around the knife. Riley amplified her tone, leaning into the performance. Yeah, I'm recording everything. The camera's rolling. Lucas swallowed. For the first time, she saw fear spark in his eyes. That's enough. His voice shook. Turn it off. I will, she said. Just as soon as I hear sirens. There were no sirens. There were no units. The channel wasn't even active. But Lucas didn't know that. He lunged. Riley slammed the brake pedal. The 18-wheeler fishtailed violently at 70 miles per hour, tires skidding across packed ice. Lucas was thrown forward, smashing into the windshield with a sickening thud. The knife clattered across the floor. He slumped motionless against the glass, blood blooming across the surface. Riley didn't wait to see if he'd get back up. She flung open her door, sprinting into the snowstorm as the truck continued sliding. Behind her, she heard a groan. He wasn't dead. Riley jumped back into the cab from the driver's side, jammed the transmission into neutral, and brought the truck under shaky control. When she checked the passenger seat, Lucas was gone. The front windshield was shattered, a hole punched straight through the glass. He'd been thrown out. Riley grabbed the CB again, this time genuinely transmitting. Emergency. This is Rig 88, on Route 90, requesting immediate assistance. Possible armed suspect down. A voice crackled through after a few seconds. Copy, Rig 88. Hold tight. 10 minutes later, though it felt like hours, a patrol car arrived, lights cutting through the snowy darkness. Officers found Lucas sprawled in the ditch, unconscious but alive. When they searched him, they found something far worse than the knife. 19 wedding rings. each stained with dried blood. Riley's stomach twisted as she watched them bag the evidence. The sheriff approached her. "You said he told you this was his 19th ride." Riley nodded numbly. The sheriff grimaced. He wasn't lying. "We matched 15 of these rings already. All missing person cases dating back 6 years." She shivered. "What about the other 4? The sheriff exhaled heavily. "Still checking." As officers loaded Lucas into the ambulance, his head turned suddenly, his eyes locking onto Riley's through the storm. Though strapped to a gurney, barely conscious, he mouthed 2 words. "Not done." Riley stumbled back against her truck, heart hammering. The sheriff said gently, "You saved your own life tonight. And maybe a dozen others." But as they drove him away, Riley couldn't shake the image of that wind-blasted highway, Lucas standing in the blizzard like the storm belonged to him. 19 rides. 19 rings. 19 victims. Until now. As she climbed back into her cab and shut the door, a sudden chill crept into the cabin, colder than the blizzard outside. The smell hit her first. Cologne. Expensive. Heavy. The same scent. Riley froze. On the dashboard, written in fog that hadn't been there a second ago, were 2 words. Ride 20. Story 3, The Silent Rig. The backroads of West Virginia were the kind of winding, tree-choked paths that swallowed sound and light whole. They twisted through dense forests where cell service died, headlights felt weaker, and old mining towns sat rotting behind fogged tree lines. Mason Pike knew these roads better than most long-haul drivers. He'd grown up in coal country, spent his life navigating terrain that scared off newcomers. But even he avoided the stretch near Green Hollow after midnight. It wasn't on any official list of dangerous routes, but every local driver had a story. A shadow on the road. A stalled truck with no driver. The feeling of being watched. That night, though, Mason didn't get a choice. His dispatcher rerouted him after a rockslide blocked the highway. Green Hollow was the only way through. The clock read 3:48 a.m. when he saw it. A Kenworth T680 stalled on the shoulder, hazards blinking in the darkness like dying fireflies. "Someone's having a worse night than me," he muttered, slowing down. He rolled to a stop behind the silent rig and climbed out, crunching through gravel. The air was colder here, heavy with the metallic scent of wet earth and pine. Fog drifted low beneath the trees, curling like breath. "Hello." Mason called out. "You all right?" No answer. He walked to the driver's side door. It hung wide open, swaying slightly in the breeze that hadn't existed seconds earlier. "Damn." Mason reached inside to switch off the hazards, when something in the cab caught his eye. The keys were still in the ignition. The headlights still on. Coffee still warm. But no driver. Mason's instinct screamed leave, but he forced himself toward the trailer instead. He unlatched the door, swung it open, and stumbled back. Inside was blood. Fresh, wet, and a lot of it. It coated the metal floor in uneven streaks, droplets flung against the walls in wild arcs. In the center, smeared with a shaking hand, were 3 words written in thick red strokes. "It sees you now." Mason felt the forest around him shift, like the trees had leaned in to listen. He shut the trailer door hard, pressing his back against the metal, breathing through clenched teeth. "All right, that's enough," he whispered to himself. "Get back in your truck. Call for help. Get the hell out." But when he turned back toward his own rig, his blood went cold. His headlights were off. He hadn't touched them. Yet the engine was still running, idling low, like someone was sitting in the driver's seat with their foot on the brake. Mason moved slowly, step by step, toward his truck. He climbed inside, heart hammering. The cab was empty. But the mirrors. The mirrors were wrong. The rearview and both side mirrors were angled down, facing directly into the darkness behind him. As he reached up to adjust the middle mirror, his fingers froze. A shape stood in the reflection. Tall. Too tall. At least 10 feet. Maybe more. Its limbs were long and thin, almost boneless looking, like someone had stretched a human silhouette until its joints barely held together. Its head was featureless, no eyes, no mouth, just a smooth black surface darker than the night behind it. And it stood inches behind his cab. Mason didn't breathe. Didn't blink. The thing tilted its head. Not like an animal. Not like a person. More like a puppet whose strings had been yanked from above. Mason tore his gaze away and slapped the gear into drive. Hell no. Not today. He slammed the accelerator. The tires screamed, gravel spraying behind him. The truck lurched forward, and the mirrors flickered, the creature's shape vanishing and reappearing with each bounce of the road like it was moving between frames. Mason didn't look back again. He kept his eyes locked on the road, knuckles white, foot pressed so hard against the pedal it trembled. The trees blurred past. Fog swallowed everything behind him. But the rig wasn't done with him. Every few minutes, the headlights flickered. The dashboard lights pulsed. The rearview mirror vibrated violently, as if something invisible was slamming its fist against the back of the cab. At mile marker 212, the radio crackled on by itself. Static at first. Then a voice. Deep. Wet. Whispering through layers of distortion. Don't look away. Mason nearly drove off the road. He swatted at the radio, but the power button did nothing. You saw it, so now it sees you. Mason's skin crawled. Stop. Shut up. Behind you. The whisper slithered down his spine. He didn't turn. He couldn't. Instead he pushed the truck harder, 60 miles per hour, 70, 80, until the frame rattled and the steering wheel shuddered under his hands. For 40 miles, he didn't blink. When he finally reached the outskirts of Beckley, he swerved into the first gas station he saw, nearly hitting a pump. He killed the engine, threw open the door, and stumbled out into the fluorescent haze of the parking lot. He stood there for a full minute, shaking. Then he turned back to his truck. The mirrors were normal. The lights steady. The road behind him empty. A state trooper pulled up minutes later, after the gas station clerk called in a distressed driver. Mason recounted everything, haltingly, ashamed of how insane it sounded. The trooper listened quietly, then asked, "What did the truck look like?" "The one you stopped for." Mason described the Kenworth. The trooper's face tightened. "Caleb Holt," he said. "Went missing last night. Wife reported it around 2. His rig was found this morning." Mason's stomach dropped. "Trailer full of blood." The trooper shook his head. "No blood. None at all. Truck's clean. Spotless. Like it hasn't been touched in months." Mason swallowed. "But I saw." "I believe you saw something," the trooper said. "But whatever was in that trailer isn't there now." Mason wiped a trembling hand across his face. "So what was it?" The trooper looked at the dark road behind Mason, expression grim. "Folks around here call it the Watcher in the Pines. Something old. Something that follows those who look too long." Mason's throat closed. The trooper leaned in, voice low. "If you see it again, don't use your mirrors. Those are its windows." Mason didn't sleep again that week. Because that night, as he lay in his sleeper cab with the lights on, he heard something press softly against the back wall of the truck. 3 slow knocks. Like long fingers tapping metal. Patient. Curious. Waiting. Story 4, The Static Between Miles. My name is Jordan Hale, and I drive nights for a regional radio network in the Midwest, delivering equipment, patch cables, and pre-recorded reels between tiny stations scattered across lonely towns. Most routes are empty stretches of two-lane asphalt cutting through cornfields and forgotten farmsteads. Silence, darkness, and the low hum of AM frequencies have become my constants. But there's one highway, Route 77, that the older engineers always warned me about. They said the signal gets strange out there. They said the static isn't really static. I used to laugh it off. I don't laugh anymore. The voice in the white noise. It started around 1:14 a.m. I had just crossed mile marker 61 when the radio in my work van flickered. The station I'd been monitoring slipped into a wash of static, dense, cloudy, almost wet sounding. I reached for the dial. Before I could touch it, a voice threaded through the static. Not talking. Breathing. Slow. Unsteady. Like someone was just inches from the MIC. I pulled my hand back. Then, clear as if they were sitting in the passenger seat. Jordan, don't turn around. I froze. My foot slipped off the gas. Only then did I realize how brightly the dash lights were glowing, too bright, bleaching the cabin in a sickly neon green. I didn't turn around. But I felt it. Something newly aware of me, sitting somewhere behind my seat. 2, mile marker 63. The road ahead stretched empty under a moonless sky. Cornfields pressed against both sides like dark walls. The radio crackled again. Keep driving. But then, overlapping it, another voice, deeper, broken, like something speaking through a torn throat. Pull over. Both voices were saying my name. Both were insisting they were trying to help me. Both sounded like they already knew what I would choose. I tightened my grip on the wheel so hard my knuckles ached. I kept driving. But the van didn't feel like it was moving in a straight line anymore. 3, the shadow outside. The road dipped into a long curve. That's when I saw it, something pacing the van just outside the passenger side window. At first it looked like a running animal. But then it rose higher, standing upright, step for step with my vehicle at 50 miles per hour. There was no face. Just a tall, black outline shaped vaguely human, flickering like bad footage. The radio let out a metallic shriek. And then, "Now you should turn around." The shadow leaned against the glass. A handprint formed, long fingers, crooked, pressing from outside. I didn't turn around. If anything was behind me, I would rather die not knowing. 4, the exit that shouldn't exist. Route 77 has no exits between mile 60 and 70. Every driver knows that. But at mile 66, glowing road signs appeared ahead, an exit ramp I'd never seen before, bending away into a tunnel of trees. The radio hissed. "Take it." But another voice, mine, whispered back through the speaker. "Don't. Please don't." I swerved away from the exit. The shadow outside vanished instantly. But something thumped against the van's rear door. And another thump. Then a scraping, like fingernails scratching metal. I couldn't help it. I checked the rearview mirror. The last transmission. There was no road behind me. Just blackness. A moving, pulsing dark that swallowed the taillight's reflection. The radio screamed. A garbled mess of voices layered over one another. "Stop, turn back, faster, he's here, don't look, don't listen, don't. The van jolted. My headlights blinked out. For a second, I was driving blind, only the impossible, shifting darkness ahead. Then, suddenly, the lights returned. The radio cut to silence. The road behind me reappeared like nothing had happened. I drove all the way to the next town without stopping, shaking so hard I nearly clipped the curb pulling into the station lot. When I stepped out, the van's rear doors were ice cold. And on the metal, long and uneven, were 4 black fingerprints as if burned into the paint. Aftermath. The engineers said they'd heard things on Route 77.